Back. Hi. All right, so I'm going to check the stream real quick. Marco.
Polo.
Oh.
Okay, cool. All right, we're good to go. Hello and welcome everyone to Purgatory Corner, the Library of Dreams. This section is the Tables of Tartarus. I hope all
Ellie, are you still there? Something I said?
Hi. Okay, I'm back. We're good. It's still going. Everyone can be heard on the stream. We'll just switch the time over to Benny now.
Okay. Well, thank you for having me on and thank you for joining us. I believe where we had left off, our goblins had learned that they had run afoul of a cleric of their deity and had engaged in a brief combat and thought that the cleric was slain, but saw him rising again as they were leaving. They have traveled with a caravan of Verdan to a Githzerai monastery, where the Githzerai have employed the goblins' talents for stealth and murder to sneak up on a Githyanki camp that has been established in the area. And I believe where we had left off, you all had managed to sneak up to the perimeter of this camp and were planning to essentially do a night raid. But before we get into all of that, I want to go ahead and, as I do every week, ask each of the players a question about their character. And I think for this week, the question is, what is your character's least favorite thing? What do they dislike the most about themselves? And we'll start with Claus.
Oh no. Oof. Like a personality trait or
Personality trait works.
That's a hard question.
Whatever comes to mind.
I'd say weirdly enough his lack of responsibility. Like he'll decide, I don't really care about doing this. I know I should, but I'm not going to. And then it bites him in the ass later. I'd
Hmm.
say it's like that, just
So
because of
like
his aloofness.
okay. Erev, same question.
Well, Erev's primary thing that she dislikes about herself would be she doesn't really fit in anywhere per se, and she has a very hard time acclimating herself to anything. Like the monastery is the best she's ever done, but she doesn't really behave like a human, she doesn't really behave like a goblin, and she's not very good at sort of switching to be able to pass herself off as one or the other or anything in between, so she's just perpetually uncomfortable no matter where she is.
Okay. Oh, and I guess we should also be introducing the characters. As I recall, Claus is a goblin bard. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then Erev is
That would be Goblin Monk.
goblin monk. All right, Notlatch, you're up.
Notlatch, one of the goblin rogues in the party. He actually kind of hates how short and childlike he looks to everyone around him. Like that short stature of his, that short stature of his and everything kind of like, I think it's what pushes him to be as useful as is possible.
Fair enough. Okay. And last, we have Klasky.
So, Plasky, she honestly, what she doesn't like is just she doesn't feel like she can do enough. Basically, trying to take care of her brother and make sure everything is well for them and kind of normal enough for them. So, because that's why her nightmare was that basically she was losing him and she couldn't do anything about it. So, what she doesn't like about herself is basically that she isn't capable enough, trained enough, strong enough, or what have you to help her family or save them or anything for her family. And she is a rogue goblin.
Okay. All right, and I'll go ahead and share my screen so you can. Didn't share what I wanted it to share. So what you four up here in this corner are seeing the outlines of the Githyanki camp. Basically, there are some tents that are in a circle, more or less. And not all of the Githyanki are out and about. Some of them are in their tents. But there are a few who are on watch patrol. And there's a pen here where you can see a couple of orcs are caged in it. And that's where the guards are currently. So last time you had all talked about attacking under cover of darkness. How do you want to make this happen?
I suggest we sneak up behind them because all of us have kind of absurd dexterity, and we clock them on the back of the head.
I'd say that's not a bad idea, actually.
I feel like that's your answer to everything we've done so far.
Well, no, it hasn't been so far because I still have yet to work out how to reach the head from how tall we are relative to them. But that's a problem we could work out later.
Do we have any lanterns? Like hooded lanterns or something like that?
if you feel like your character would have had a hooded lantern, they certainly can. Since all goblins have dark vision, wouldn't have necessarily been the highest priority.
Right.
What are you wanting to do?
I'm thinking, what about setting some tents on fire? So chaos.
I'd say that would work pretty well. Slightly horrific, but it worked pretty well.
What if we split up? Two of us on one side and the others on the opposite side, going after the guards at the same time.
That could work.
I think I like
What?
that idea.
All right, so Notlatch, who's going to be your partner for your part of this mission?
I think we should. I think Notlatch would actually be looking at Arif to be on his team, because there should be, because to be the most effective, it would be him and Klasky on separate teams,
Okay.
providing some kind. Klasky would be able to provide the close up, and Klaz would be able to provide the distance, and then vice versa for Notlatch and Arrow.
So
Is that good for everybody?
Well, that works for me.
I'm fine with that.
okay, so do you want this will be you and Arif? Do you want you two to sneak around and get this guard while these two get that one?
Yes. And
Okay.
while we're doing that, I'm gonna give Arif a poison vial, because I think Arif still has her knife, right?
Yes, the +1 and advantage knife.
Yeah, so I'm gonna give you that so that you can get an extra 1d4 poison. If I think they just have to fail a DC 10 or something like that con save.
All right.
Yeah, they gotta fail if they fail a DC 10 con save, they take 1d4 poison.
And also become poisoned.
Oh, also to clarify, I was just checking my notes. The dagger actually gives me bonus. It's a bonus action extra attack. It's not advantage, so I don't know if that changes anything for the plan, but
No,
it should be fine either way.
It's advantage. You may have written it. What I had told you was that it would be, or I may have misspoken, but as a bonus action, you give yourself advantage on an attack. Basically, the dagger can communicate with you, and what is in it that communicates with you is the spirit of an ancient elf that essentially gives you combat advice.
All right. Yeah, I think I must have misheard then.
Okay. So
and then I'm gonna coat a few blowgun needles in the poison.
okay. Mara, are you going to, or Erev, are you going to go ahead and poison that dagger?
I'm going to move to do so, but I am going to wait to see how the dagger responds to this concept.
All right. The dagger, you hear a voice in your head of a very well-spoken, well-educated elf going, "My goodness, that is quite toxic. I recommend that you insert the blade into an artery if you can find it so that it will travel directly to vital organs."
Sure. Okay, I'll take your word on it. I'm better at punching people really hard, so you're the knife.
And since the two of you are making your way all the way around the camp for this adventure, both of you roll stealth check, please.
Natural one.
Oh,
Oh no.
17.
All right. So, Erev, when the dagger talks to you, you know what? I'm going to let you. How does your natural one play out? How does that happen?
I am absolutely talking to the dagger out loud.
Okay. So the guard just hears noise and starts moving that way. Klasky and Klaus, you two see this happen. See the guard, you hear Erev talking, and you see the guard starting to head that way. And the guard isn't necessarily on high alert. He kind of just raising his lantern and putting a hand on his sword. What are you all going to do?
Hey, that does not look good. I think we need to
We,
deal with that.
yeah, either we kill them or distract them. Either way, we need to do something quick.
Give me just a second. Look at a spell.
I mean, it wouldn't be too hard to just throw a dagger of distraction at them.
All right, so Klasky, if you want to wing a dagger at this guy, you will be doing so with advantage and surprise attack.
Alright, give me a second. Just a attack roll or...
Yep,
Okay. That would be 24.
24 hits. Go ahead and roll up. That's going to be the dagger damage plus sneak attack.
And I think we gave Klasky the special poison from the axe last session.
Yes.
Okay. So he's going to make his Constitution saving throw. He is not poisoned.
That is 8 damage total.
All right. So he cries out, and very, very much in a moment, the entire camp is going to be awake. He's hurt, but he's still up and definitely well enough to be shouting. Klaus, I'm going to go ahead and say you're next in order just because you were able to see this happening.
How much of a distance is that between us and the guard?
If you wanted to run up to him, I'll call it 30 feet. But yeah, it's about 30 feet of distance between you.
Yeah. Okay. I will. Yeah, I will run up and try and stab him with my rapier.
Okay. So you move up. Go ahead and make your attack roll, please.
That'll be a 19.
19 does hit.
Mhm. 7 damage.
Okay. So the Githyanki are starting to emerge from their tents with weapons drawn. The other thing that's happening is these orcs are banging on the walls of the enclosure, and there is a gate on it. I didn't draw it, but there's a gate there that theoretically one of you could open, and they're shouting, "Let us out! Let us out!" And Notlatch, since you're not engrossed in conversation with a weapon, I'm going to say you're up next.
Is all right. So the gift. So the gift that they're attacking is that one's still alive, right?
He is.
I am going to take my blowgun out, and I am going to. Yeah, I'm going to go after this one.
All right.
Here we go. Fingers crossed. That shot definitely misses. That's a 9.
Okay.
We are not
Claws, as you're standing there feeling proud for having managed to find a gap in the Githyanki's armor, a blow dart whizzes past your head but does not make contact with you.
Cool.
Not much. Are you doing anything else on your turn?
I am. Is there any cover where we are, like rocks or brush or anything?
Not really. You're on what amounts to a plateau.
I'm
You can
going
hide
to
behind
try
one
to
of the tents.
drag Arif backwards a little bit to get behind the tent that's empty that's behind us.
Okay, so you're moving to one of the tents. Erev, are you going to go along with this, or are you going to do something different?
I'm gonna go along with it.
Okay. So you're moving back to this tent, and it's now your turn. What are you doing from this position?
I'm sort of just continuing with the plan at the moment to burn the beds, right?
Okay, so you want to set the tent on fire?
Yes.
All right, I'm not going to have you roll anything for it. I assume you would have some flints or something like that in your gear. So you managed to get a fire going on the edge of this tent here. And next up, it's going to be the guard's turn. He draws a great sword and takes a swing at who is nearest to him. Laws, does a 16 hit your AC?
Yes. Yes, it does.
Oh no.
Okay, that's 8 slashing damage.
Oh. Alright. Good.
The other guard is, well, for some reason my thing stopped working, but we'll have to go theater of the mind for a moment. The other guard is basically running up and is running up, but he doesn't quite know what's going on, so he's just shouting, what's happening? He's shouting something in Gith. You don't quite understand what. And there's a general commotion as all of these people are emerging from their tents. One of them, I'm going to make this one a little bigger. This is the one who seems to be in the most intricate armor, and others are deferring to them. They point to the burning tent and shout something, and they're more concerned with the fire, at least for the moment, than they are with one goblin, which is all they see. And I guess that's going to bring us back to Klowski.
Well, there's a lot going on here. Where am I at on this map again?
That character is you.
Okay. I'm just going to. Am I close to the orc or whatever attacked Klaz?
That is a Githyanki. That's this one. That's the one who's taken all the damage. That's the only one who's attacked so far.
So at the moment there isn't a whole lot going on except that one. Okay.
Yeah, the leader's ordering some of them to deal with this burning tent. And beyond that, there's just kind of a state of confusion.
Okay, so I'll just throw my dagger at the one that is attacking Klaz then, so I can stay mostly hidden.
Okay, so you can hide as a bonus action if you choose to. Go ahead and make your attack roll.
Huh. 13 to hit.
Okay, so you wing a dagger and it glances off of his armor. And these two Githyanki see that happen and they both turn and look at you.
Huh, welp.
Do you want to try to duck behind this tent here anyway?
Yeah. Would that be a
Right.
stealth? Or
I mean, I'm going to say it just happens. Go ahead and make a stealth check, just because.
uh 15?
Okay. So, I mean, they definitely saw the direction you went, but you feel like you managed to tuck yourself away pretty well, in a fold of the tent near the ground. Claws, your situation is going just great. So, what are you going to do?
So, I'm only in melee range with the guy that attacked me,
That's correct.
and he's looking pretty hurt, maybe?
He's definitely taking some damage.
Okay. Well, I will go ahead and attack with my rapier again and see if I can take him out.
Okay, go ahead and make your attack roll.
A 15?
15 just kind of skates off of his armor.
Hmm.
Notlatch, you're up.
Oh, hold on.
I'm sorry, you're doing something else?
Yeah, I'm just gonna use my nimble escape to disengage as a bonus action,
Okay.
and I'm gonna back up kind of northwest.
That way?
Yeah.
Okay. You managed to do that. Notlatch, what are you doing?
Great deal of commotion. I'm gonna. So how far away are the orcs? The ones in the cage. How far away is that door?
Probably about 35 feet. If you're asking, could you make it there? If you just wanted a dead run, the answer is yes, you could.
Yeah, but that'd be like the whole turn basically.
Not really. You're a rogue. You can dash as a bonus action.
Oh yeah, dash is part of that. And I think I'm gonna try to do that.
Are you
Is the
going to?
door on like the left side of it, the top, the bottom?
So the gate is essentially right where they're trying to get out through the gate because it's the weakest point.
Right in the middle, isn't it?
So the question I have for you now is, since there are several Githyanki between you and that gate, are you going to try to sneak past them, or are you just going to go at a dead run and try to just bolt through and move too fast for them to react?
I mean, is there even anything for me to use to sneak through there?
The fact that you're a little tiny guy and they're
Yeah.
medium size.
I'm going to. Fuck it. I'm going for the gusto on this one. Because I know they know that Claz is somewhere around here, and they're gonna start looking at some point.
Okay. So as far as the actual distance to make it, that's not a problem. Make a dexterity saving throw.
Here we go. Fingers crossed. 22.
All right. Yeah, you zip through, and it's the kind of thing where none of the Githyanki even reaches for you. You're moving too nimbly and too almost serpentine for them to react. So, are you opening the gate when you get there?
Yep.
Okay.
Is it lock? Is it a lock that I have to pick, or?
It's just bolted shut, but it's something where the orcs couldn't reach it from the inside.
Yep. I am unbolting that, and I am letting them loose.
Okay. So the Githyanki, who had been engaged with Claus, is the most aware of what's going on. So he's actually going to try to go after you. but one of the orcs is going to just full on tackle this guy. And Arav, it's now your turn.
Arrow is basically going to move to the next most flammable object and set that on fire as well to keep up the pressure.
All right, so that's pretty much going to be the next tent.
Yep. I'm going to try and remain somewhat stealthy throughout all of that.
Okay, so go ahead and make a stealth check.
All right. 16.
Okay. So most of the Githyanki are either distracted by what's going on around the pen or with, move some of these guys to where they would be at this point, where they're trying to put out the last fire you set. So your 16 is going to be enough for you to get there. And once again, I assume you have some kind of flints or something so you can get a fire started. However, you're not going to be able to do it without attracting some attention. So this one's now aware of you and is shouting something to the others. This half-orc is going to run out and tackle another one of the Githyanki. So we've got a couple of different shit shows happening at the same time in this camp. And I'm sorry, what was that?
Before the turn moves on, so I don't have to bother anyone else, I had the technical difficulty. I don't have the level we are saved. Could you just do a quick reminder so I can have it ready by the time my next turn rolls around?
Level 2.
Thank you. And that'll be all.
Okay. And Klasky, I believe that brings us back to you.
Yep. Which looks like one of them's kind of close to me.
Yes, and these two are very much preoccupied with fighting this fire. And then there's this guy who's just kind of taking this situation in but hasn't responded yet.
So at the moment, there's really no one in danger, nothing really going on quite yet.
Yeah, so basically for context, from the Githyanki's perspective on this, most of them were asleep. Githyanki don't have dark vision, so they're not a nocturnal people. And so other than the two guards who were awake, everybody just got woken from bed to this situation.
I will hold my action then until I guess the captain does something. Do I know that not latch is right in that area or no?
I would say you would probably know because something opened the gate, and I would have assumed you would have looked that way.
Yeah, so I'll just hold my action to, if something were to happen to not latch, I'll respond either distract or attack, or both,
Okay.
really.
All right. So you're holding your action, and the condition is somebody makes a hostile move at not latch. Okay. That's going to bring us back to Klaus.
So remind me, what's our goal here?
Your goal was to do enough damage to these Githyanki that they would decide it wasn't worth it to continue whatever mission it is they're on.
Okay. Well,
Noted.
case. I am going to look at the big guy, the commander, whatever he is, and I am going to cast Dissonant Whispers.
Okay, and I believe he has to make a wisdom save.
It is a wisdom save, and you have to beat a 14.
He fails.
All right. So that is 3d6 damage.
36 damage. No, I'm kidding. I heard you.
That is 11 damage. And he must immediately use his reaction, if available, to move as far as his speed allows away from me.
Okay. So he was in the middle of giving orders, and he's in a situation where, everybody, all of his underlings are asking him for direction. He's shouting, you secure the prisoners, you deal with the fire, you go after that whoever has the torch over there. And so while he's in the middle of doing that, he just takes off. And so this is now leaving his companions in even more confusion than they already were. You doing anything else this turn?
I will. Is everyone else still hidden? All of my friends are still hidden?
Not really. Not Latch is
Okay.
right there, kind of in the middle of it. And Arav was hidden, but is now being illuminated by the fire she just set.
Okay. I am going to use one of my bardic inspirations
Okay.
to inspire Arav.
Okay.
Thank you.
And at this level, I believe Bardic Inspiration is a D6. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Not Latch, you're up.
When the orcs tackled the two guards, did they tackle them to the ground like they're prone?
Yeah, so basically the orcs are the orcs and the Githyanki are both within the realm of the size human beings could be, but the Githyanki are built like swimmers and the orcs are built like real, sumo wrestlers or football players or something. So basically, they're now wrestling around on the ground. The Githyanki are very strong and very skilled, but they're not necessarily at a physical advantage.
I'm going to use that to my advantage, and I'm going to draw my daggers, and I'm going to provide some support to these orcs, trying and try to free them up to take on more. And that, and with them being prone, that's going to give me advantage on the roll. So.
All right. Are you going to attack with both daggers, thereby using up your action and your bonus action, or are you just making one attack?
I'm going to do action and bonus action.
Okay. Go ahead and roll for it then.
Here we go. First one is 21 to hit.
Okay.
All right, and that means I also get sneak attack.
You do. Go ahead and roll up the other attack, though.
And that is a 15. It was the highest on that.
So basically what happens is the 15 does not hit. It just glances off. The other one, though, the orc who is tangled up with this person sees what you're doing and just grabs the Githyanki's chin and exposes their neck, and you're able to just dispatch this Githyanki. So that guy's gone. The orc is going to jump up. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and let you finish your turn. Is there anything else you were doing this turn? Not Latch?
No, that's probably the best thing I'm going to be able to do right now. Now, you know what? Actually, I'm going to move to the opposite side of these 2 orcs so that I'm not like right within reach of that guard just above me.
Okay, you got it. All right. The orc that you just helped is going to jump up, nod to you, and say, "Cheers, little guy." And then he's going to wind back, and with his giant orcish foot, he's going to kick the guard that you all were sparring with earlier. And that guard is no more. The other orc is going to take up his greatsword and charge at this guy. And Arab, that's going to bring us to your turn.
All right, so there's still plenty of Githyanki moving around generally, right? Like there are more than just what we're seeing, right?
Actually, it's pretty much what you're seeing. The only other people in this camp are non-coms. There's like a blacksmith and a cook and people like that, but they're moving away from you and they're not a threat to you. So what you're seeing is all that would be a threat.
In that case, I'm going to just move up to the closest enemy and go in for the kill.
Okay. So tell us exactly what you're doing.
I'm just moving up to the nearest Githyanki and stabbing them with the poison dagger.
Okay, so go ahead and make your attack roll.
So that is going to be a 17.
Yep, 17 just hits. Roll up the damage.
And I believe they have to make the con save for the poison as well.
Yep, I rolled it and he did succeed.
Okay. So he takes 7 damage.
He reels back. One of these runs into the big tent, and you don't immediately see exactly what happens in there. Klaus, how long does the effect from Dissonant Whispers last? How long does he have to keep moving away from you?
I assume it's just the one turn because it just says it uses its reaction to run away. So I'm assuming it's just the one turn.
I'm just confirming. I think you're right. I'm just confirming.
Yeah, I think it's when they're out of sight of you and then they roll again, or it's after the turn.
It doesn't say anything about rolling again.
No. Okay, so yeah, all right. So the effect is over, and that's fine. All right, so this guy is also going to run into the tent, and what you hear is just a remarkably shrill, shrieking noise. Need everybody to make a Constitution save, please.
Okay.
I'm going to use that Bardic Inspiration.
Ooh.
That's a 12.
Okay.
Bardic Inspiration did not help. That's a 2.
I got
With the Bardic Inspiration, it's a 7.
I got a 10.
Okay. What did you say, Klaus? You got?
6.
All right. So all of you essentially just drop to your knees. This isn't just loud, it's painful to the point that it feels like it's disrupting your equilibrium. The good news is the same thing seems to be happening to most of the Githyanki and the orcs. Now, what happens next is a brilliant light appears overhead. It starts out as it just looks like a star that's closer and brighter than it should be. But it expands. I won't be needing this anymore. It expands into something bigger and bigger until it's nearly as large as the entire camp itself. And right in the middle of the camp, crushing what's left of that pen that Notlatch opened, there lands an adult red dragon with a magnificently armored Githyanki on the back of it.
The fuck is that?
What the fuck?
Oh, that's not good.
The sound comes to an abrupt stop. The two orcs make a beeline, and this guy actually moves to stop them, but the Githyanki, who's now dismounting the dragon, just waves his hand. And he looks around. He's wearing goggles, which are just clearly magical. And he waves his hand and casts a spell. And I need a strength saving throw from each of you.
Natural 20!
Okay?
Wait, you needed a what save?
Strength.
I got a 7.
Okay?
I got a 9.
Okay?
I got 14.
Okay. So on a natural 20, Erev, you barely notice this guy because this dragon has made eye contact with you. And am I correct in remembering that your character has a special connection with dragons?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Okay. So the other three of you are just pulled into the center of the camp. It's not a painful or harmful experience. You're just pulled close. And the commander emerges from the tent and starts speaking to the new arrival in Gith, which none of you speak. The new arrival, while still holding his spell, turns and is just berating this commander. I mean, just absolutely going off. And you can see from the body language of the other Githyanki that it's an extremely uncomfortable exchange. If anybody has anything that would allow them to comprehend a language that they don't know, speak now or forever hold your peace. But the only one who I think might would be the Bard clause.
I don't have that spell.
Okay. That spell is useless except when it is not. Anyway, the commander at some length is going to start to sputter out something that, even though you don't understand the language, you're going to get the impression that he's making some kind of excuses or some kind of defense. And the new arrival, in a one fluid motion, is going to draw his greatsword and decapitate the commander. And then he's going to turn to the others and just shout a couple of orders. Notably, none of the Githyanki tries to touch you. And as they get back to what they start doing, what you're watching them do, is they start packing up their camp. So the new arrival turns to the three of you, and he also looks at Erev, and he looks at Erev and looks at the dragon, and he realizes that there's something happening there. And he just says, I'm not going to let the dragon harm you. Would you like to see it up close?
Yeah, Erev is just absolutely not wordlessly shaking their head with enthusiasm as they move forward.
Okay. The other three can't really move, but are you you can still talk and do body language. Is anybody reacting to your companion running up to essentially pet this dragon like it was a pony?
She's gonna. I'm pretty sure Not Latch is in my sights somewhere.
Yeah, you're all right there together.
Okay. So, you guys are seeing what I'm seeing, right?
Unfortunately.
Oh, ye of little faith.
I
Oh.
think we're in big trouble.
I think so too. pretty gigantic problem. Very scaly one. What the fuck? Why are they all excited about seeing this thing?
In heavily accented Goblin, the Githyanki, the new arrival, the one who arrived with the dragon, is going to say, well, it is not every day that one gets to see one of the noble dragons of the astral plane, one of the servants of Githyanki, one of the beasts that helps us in thwarting the return of the grand design.
Okay. I mean, it's cool, kind of terrifying. I just don't really see the thrill of it, but it wasn't really sort of my thing, this whole religion thing, you know? So, it's not dangerous?
He just flat out, like, openly laughs at you when you say that.
Death glare.
So after a moment's of consideration, he unclenches his fists, and the three of you are free to move again. Additionally, he sheaths his sword, he puts it back in the big scabbard on his back, and still speaking in accented Goblin, he says, allow me to introduce myself. I am Kithrak Jean, and you have, in a roundabout way, done us a favor, because Githyanki are supposed to be the fearless conquerors and raiders of worlds, and the fact that Commander Tarl couldn't keep their camp from getting raided by 4 goblins tells me that they really weren't worthy of the title. Their mission was supposed to be a simple one. Interrogate some orcs, find out what was going on with the Githzerai, and report back. But they somehow couldn't do that right. So I'm going to put what remains of our crew here to work elsewhere, and I will leave your lands untouched. But don't think that I'm going to forget you. You're going to be a nice cautionary tale to other Githyanki not to get too arrogant in our power. Many would say that I should just make you a nice little meal for my dragon there, but I feel like as a cautionary tale, you're more useful if you're still alive. Erev, the dragon, as you approach, the dragon bows its head, and you can tell that this two things you're immediately able to determine just from being in this creature's presence. One is you get the sense that it's intelligent, and 2, you get the sense that it doesn't have any malice toward you, that it's content to let you approach. So what are you doing?
I'm just gonna ask the Gith what how did you move this with this thing without being seen? This magnificent creature. I've only seen one other before, and no one believed me then either. How do you move these things so silently?
We move between different worlds. I was on another world when I received the distress signal from Commander Tarl, and I came expecting this camp to be overrun by a horde of orcs or to have been attacked by the entirety of the Githzerai monastery or to be under attack from mind flayers. I didn't expect a dozen Githyanki warriors to be getting the worst of a fight with 4 goblins and 2 already beaten orcish prisoners. I may have overreacted. Anyway, the dragon simply flew through the portal. When we're not using our portal magic, the dragon just flies as normal.
I see. Well, yeah, Arab just goes silent after that, just sort of processing everything that's happening.
Kizrak John is going to look at the dragon and look at you, and he's going to say, "Tell me something, little goblin. Have you ever flown before?"
No, that is not a thing I have done.
Well, we knew you well, Erev. Have fun. Bye. See you later, I guess? Or see you on the flip side?
I'd just like to take a moment to talk with your friends, and no need to keep the dragon standing around bored while that's going on. If you'd like to see what the world looks like from a dragon's back, you may do so for a few minutes.
Maybe you can play fetch with it.
I mean, Arab is just absolutely, again, shaking their head, but also, like, as they approach to try and figure out how to fly on a dragon, they're clearly terrified of even just touching it.
So you're making this gingerly approach, and the dragon just reaches out with its front claws, just picks you up and plops you on its back, and takes off. So the other three of you have now watched your friend take off on dragonback and is kind of circling overhead, while a very smug Githyanki leader is standing there. Before he says anything, do any of you want to say or do anything?
What are you gonna do now?
Now I'm going to oversee packing up this camp and evacuating what's left of our forces here. He leans over, he's over 6 feet tall, so he can't really come down to your eye level without kneeling or something, which he doesn't do. But he just leans down like with his hands on his thighs, so he's as close to your eye level as he can reasonably be, and he's going to say, "Is there anything else you think I should be doing?"
Klasky is gonna shoot him a glare and stand closer to her brother. For protective reasons.
What's not much saying?
I'm confused. I don't. Normally, when something like this happens, we don't get away.
Tell me something, little goblin, especially littlest of the goblins. Have you ever heard of the War for the Skies?
The who?
So I'm going to take that as a no. There is a much larger conflict that the Githyanki, my people, are involved in. It spans not only more than just this land or this fight, but it spans more than this world. Now, we had our objectives on this world, and we will return to them in time. But part of the reason for these little missions is to weed out those among us who are not suitable for the greater conflict. By eliminating these careless soldiers and exposing the ineptitude of their commander, this situation has, strangely enough, strengthened our forces. Only the strongest among us deserve to survive. That's the Githyanki way. So, I bear you no ill will. I don't bear you any more ill will than I would equipment in a training exercise. that allows a particularly incompetent student to hurt themselves.
Oh. Thank you, I think.
So he comes back up to his full height, and it's hard to really tell if he's sincere or if he's mocking, but either way, he bows and says, "And you are most welcome. We will be leaving momentarily. At that point, you are welcome to help yourself to whatever is left behind in our camp. I must warn you, by getting involved in Githyanki affairs, you have involved yourself in a much larger world than the one you know, though I sense that this wasn't a random raid, so I'm guessing that you were already getting involved in deeper and bigger things.
You might say something. Yeah.
Yeah, something of the sorts. It's definitely not a water off the duck's back type of situation.
Well, whatever it is you're into, I wish you well. Should you see any more of my kind, any more Githyanki, do be advised, I am going to let it be known that 4 little goblins proved the superior of a Githyanki creche, and it's possible that some of my people might see defeating you as a badge of honor. So the next time you see one of us, it might not be under such friendly concerns. But you needn't worry about that at this moment, because I have other places to be and other things to do. And he's going to turn and shout in Draconic, at which point the dragon is going to gently descend with Erev still on its back.
Is there any way we can, like, contact you or have any proof to show other people of your kind as, like, a warning?
He walks to the nearest Githyanki body and undoes the sword belt and brings it over to you. And what he presents you with is a short sword of a. It's not a particularly unusually difficult weapon to wield, but you've just never seen one made like this. It has several jewels worked into the hilt, and it's also got a lot of silver worked into it. And so he's just going to hand you the sword, and he's going to say, "Only the greatest warriors or the greatest thieves or the most fortunate scavengers have Githyanki weaponry."
Goodness, this is a fancy sword. But noted. Thank you.
So by now, the other Githyanki have assembled with most of their goods, and he's going to walk up to the dragon and start to climb on its back. Erev, what are you doing?
Erev is just completely frozen by the experience of flying for the first time, really, and is visibly trembling a little bit as they sort of stumble off of the dragon.
Okay. So you managed to do that, and the dragon looks at you and it doesn't breathe fire at you. It's not doing anything harmful, but it just breathes a warm gust of air at you. And you sense that there was something more than just than just breath that passed with that experience. And with that, Kithrak Jean says a magic word, and a portal opens, and he, his dragon, and his what's left of his Githyanki troops and camp followers walk through, with the portal closing behind them.
Someone slapped me silly. I think this is a dream.
I don't even know what to say. But we're alive. That's the important thing.
Are we?
Last time I checked.
When was it?
He kind of looks down at his wound. Could be better, but I'm alive.
Nah, that's fair.
I just start checking the camp for anything they might have left behind. Just kind of in a daze.
Klaus turns to Erev, and he's like, "You wanna explain what the hell that was?"
Ev just looks at him as like, I wish I knew.
Are you on something, RF? And why are you not sharing?
No mushrooms for me today.
So it's something else.
The reason, the way how I can punch at the weight of a bugbear is because I saw a dragon years ago. I mimic a tiny portion of that thing's power.
Wait, so now that we've all seen a dragon, are we gonna get stronger? Is that something?
I don't know it. It was a much more personal experience for me. You know, it was a formative part of my. And at that point, Arab really returns to themselves as they start to ramble about their early upbringing a little bit.
Oh, okay. Anyway, we should go through this camp before Nutlatch gathers up too much and he can't walk anymore. Or falls on his face. But that's quite the story. I'm pretty sure this is all just a crazy dream and we'll wake up tomorrow with it. Granted, I don't know what to do with this sword, but it'll definitely help us in the future.
Who's ever in a position to write something down, the sword is a +1 short sword. It's also silvered, and it's magical for the purposes of overcoming resistance. And if you were to sell it, it would be more valuable than such an item would normally be worth, both because of its rarity and because it's jeweled. As far as searching the camp, anyone who wants to can make an investigation check.
Oh, absolutely.
15.
Okay.
Dirty 20.
30-20. Okay. So on a dirty 20, you find a red gem that, and when I say a red gem, I mean this thing is the size of your fist. You get the impression that it's probably magical, but you're not exactly sure what it might do. And it's definitely valuable because it's a gem the size of your fist. On a 15, you find some hastily packed medical supplies. And part of what's included in that is a potion of angelic sleep, which basically allows somebody to drink it and get the benefit of a long rest.
What was it? Potion of angelic sleep.
Angelic sleep.
All
On
right.
a 14, you find a broken crossbow, but when I say broken, it doesn't look like it would be that hard to repair. And it looks to be of exceptionally high quality. Meaning, if you were to repair it, you would probably have something that would be significantly better than a regular crossbow.
Nice.
As you all are finishing up your looting of the camp, the two orcs who had run off have come back, and one of them is just staring, just gaping at you, and the other one says, how are you alive?
Honestly, I have no idea. We've ran into all sorts of crazy things so far in the past uh few months, about, give or take. It's been pretty crazy. Where do you want us to start?
Concerned about the dragon. It looked like you were about to get eaten, but you're still here somehow.
I guess it looked at us and decided there wasn't enough nutrition, you know? uh, sorry, probably a bad time for jokes.
The orcs look at each other, and the one who spoke before says, "So where are you all going now?"
Back to the monastery.
Can we tag along with you? We don't really know where our tribe is right now, and safety and numbers and all that.
Or why not?
I mean, that's fine, as long as you guys don't cause a ruckus or threaten us. I mean, you may be orcs, but you just saw what we dealt with, so.
Groups speak Orcish.
Actually, that is my second language. What do you know?
There you go. So the orc who was just gaping is going to snap out of it, and to the other orc, he is going to say in Orcish, "I don't take orders from goblins."
Arab is just going to also say in Orcish, do you take orders from those who've survived dragons, gith, bugbears, and maglubiates rage? And with that, I think Arab is technically the one carrying it. I'm going to slam down the axe of Maglubiat and just tap at the holy symbol to prove my point.
So that orc is going to bristle a little bit, looking like he's about to essentially call your bluff. But the other one is going to rest his hand on that orc's shoulder and say, in common, it's going to say, "Why don't we all get someplace safe and a warm meal in our bellies before we fight each other?"
Fighting each
And
other would accomplish nothing. Let's go eat.
okay. Now, do you all want to do anything in particular as you make your way back to the monastery, or are you just going back there as quick as you can?
I'd be voting for quick as we can.
Same.
Same.
Probably just quick.
Okay. So you're able to make it back quickly and easily enough. There seems to be some confusion when you reach the monastery, and it actually takes them some time to open the gate for you. But at length they do, and you're seen inside and fed and everything. And the orcs are not really separated from you, but they're just taken to essentially orc-sized accommodations and so forth. So they're not separated from you in a forceful way, but they're separated from you in a practical way.
Oh, I
Should
think
we
we'd
go-
better report it.
Both of you talked at once, and I didn't really hear either. What did Klaus say?
Oh, I didn't say anything.
Oh,
I think it was Arab that was talking.
okay. Arav, what did you say?
I said I think we'd better report in.
All right. So are you making your way to the abbot then?
Yep.
Okay. You do that. And when you do, you essentially interrupt his meditation, and you can see he's sort of annoyed at the acolyte who's interrupting his meditation. But then when he sees you, he just says, "Wait, what the fuck?"
Is there a problem?
It's just, I mean, the thing is, that mission you went on to deal with the Githyanki, that was quite an ambitious mission for 4 goblins.
Yeah, we also came back with a few orcs that we rescued, and we scared them off. They're no longer around. I got to ride on a dragon because apparently the dude respected us for scaring a bunch of recruits shitless. So, pretty priceless, really, for a suicide mission.
I mean, suicide mission might be a bit of a strong term.
You expected us to die.
Well, yeah, I said a strong term. I didn't say an inaccurate one.
I shouldn't be surprised, considering everything we've dealt with so far and risking our lives for the lesser of two evils of things.
Indeed. Well, whoever was talking, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna be like, lesser of two evils. The other side has dragons. The side with dragons is objectively the correct side to be on, if only because you want to stay alive.
I do find it difficult to argue with that logic. Well, why don't you all join me for some tea, because we have some things we now need to discuss. He sends his acolyte away to get a tea service for you all, and the acolyte comes back with Sam, and he sits down and he says, "Well, things haven't been entirely quiet here in your absence. We've had a visitor.
A visitor?
A visitor for us?
In a manner of speaking. The
We only have
visitor,
each other.
yes, but you're not known only to each other, and your lives are not valued only by each other. And when I say valued, I don't mean that this other person necessarily values your alive. I mean that they value your life as in they will put a price on it. We were visited by a cleric of Magubliet, a cleric who was bearing some rather nasty scars, some rather fresh scars. I was, to be honest, looking at the severity of some of those scars, I was surprised that he was even among the living. And I'm not 100% sure that he was among the living, but he spoke, and he spoke with force, and he carried an aura of magic about him.
Okay, I don't know anyone of that nature.
You didn't perhaps have an unfortunate encounter on the road on your way here with a cleric of Magubliet that ended in violence?
Yes.
I thought we already dealt with that situation. Above game, I thought we killed that priest.
I'm trying to remember if I saw it happen or if it was more of a cutscene or something that Benny had described, but the body did start to move in a way that wasn't just the nervous system shaking the muscles.
Yeah, you brought him down, but then as you were riding away in the Verdun wagon, you saw him start to get up. And as I recall, the specifics of how you brought him down was that it was not Latch that did it with a particularly brutal sneak attack when he was getting ready for single combat with Arab.
Got him with a blow dart to the
Yep. So at this point, the cleric is going, or the abbot is going to say, you dealt with him as he was, but sometimes with their most loyal servants, gods have a way of intervening, and it seems that Magubliet intervened to return him to the flesh, to the land of the living, with but a singular purpose. And the four of you were it. And he told me that were I to shelter the four of you, he would return here with a great host of Magubliet's faithful and level this place. Now, at the time, I was able to tell him truthfully that I had sent you on a mission from which you were unlikely to return, but, well, here we are.
So we need to go.
I'm afraid you, not right this very instant, you may take your rest for the day. You may stock up on provisions. I feel like I owe you that much at least. You have solved our Githyanki problem, evidently. And honestly, he's going to turn to Arrow and he's going to say, I haven't seen a dragon in person in quite a few years, let alone had a bonding interaction with one. I'd be curious to know some of your insights.
My insights are that flying is fucking terrifying.
That's not really the kind of insight I was after, but it's good to know. So let's just pause this for a moment. Kind of a lot has happened for each of your characters, and even if you're not necessarily voicing it or voicing it to this abbot who you don't necessarily know all that well and who apparently was willing to throw you to the wolves, as it were. I'm curious how each of your characters is essentially processing this. We'll start with Klasky.
She is honestly just not surprised at this point because of the fact that they already had to leave their first home to try to find a cure for a disease. They come back, cure it, and then they're chased away. And they end up here. They solve their issue, and now they're being chased away again. So to her, it's honestly not surprising. It pisses her off. She's absolutely livid, and she's going to be quite demanding of supplies, but she's not surprised.
So she's angry, but she's more likely to take it out on whatever quartermaster this place has when she's requisitioning supplies for the trip to wherever they go next than to make a scene with the abbot. Would that be more or less accurate?
Yeah. She kind of, because isn't this the same person that caused those nightmare illusions to happen?
Yep, that's the one.
Yeah. She knows. She knows a little better not to pull anything at the moment.
Okay. So she's both had enough. She's both had as much of this person as she cares to, but also respects his authority and power.
Yep.
Where's Klaus at with this?
So recent events have been fun. I would say like saving the goblins and then being pretty much kicked out or having to leave. Very disappointing, but he honestly doesn't have that high of opinion of goblins in the first place. It's kind of just like, great, should have known that would happen.
Kind of a this is why I left in the first place type of deal.
Yeah, pretty much. As for the gift, well, he's very disappointed, especially since he talked to a lot of people when they were here last time. I believe this was the place where he played music with a fellow bard.
Right.
And it's like he was enjoying his time here, disregarding the horrible nightmare illusions. He was having a great time here, and now it's like, oh, well, I have to leave the place that I enjoyed. He's a little freaked out about the dragon, because even among his travels, he's never seen a dragon before. He's a little freaked out about that.
Okay. So getting over his first encounter with the first person encounter with a dragon, and other than that, just not so much mad, just disappointed.
Yeah.
All right. Not Latch.
At the he pissed off, but at the same time a little bit still in shock, especially that like this was basically meant to kill them. Like he's still processing how much bullshit this is.
So while this is a lot of bullshit, I would be remiss if I didn't point out Not Latch is a little bit hung up on how physically small and frail he is, even for a goblin. And yet he's managed to break into a human settlement, survive combat, and win combat with a cleric of Magubliet, and engage in battle with literal aliens and do so well at it that their leader just gave him a show of respect afterward. Is this influencing Notlatch's view of himself or his worldview at all? Or is he still just processing?
I don't think the gravity of that has actually hit him, because like those are all like to him. Those aren't collective of those haven't collected in his head yet as a group of things that have happened. It's really just been one situation to the next. You know, I think he's a little bit like he's kind of starting to understand what he's capable of. But yeah, it's mostly just processing that.
Okay, that's fair. And finally, Erev.
Erev is, well, Erev just met what she considers to be God. So she's just at a complete loss for words, especially with whatever the dragon did at the very end there. Just, this is... She always dreamed of more, but this is so thoroughly beyond what she could have imagined that she doesn't really know what to do now.
Okay. Fair enough. So basically, everybody is either angry or just trying to process everything that's happened. All right. So after your meeting with the abbot, you meet with the leader of the Verdan caravan again, and she's actually just really cheerful and happy to see you, to the point where you get the feeling that if she knew you better, she might give one or more of you a hug. And she says, you four are certainly making a reputation for yourselves, and I understand you're going to need to be leaving here shortly.
Yeah, I guess we will.
Kind of sad to go. This place has been quite enjoyable.
If you're into tea and meditation, it is as wonderful a place as one could ever hope to find. However, there is an alternative available to you. Obviously, if you want to leave on your own and travel as four wandering goblins by yourselves, well, no one can stop you, evidently not even dragon riding Githyanki. However, if you wish to travel in company, my caravan will be leaving again shortly, and we would be delighted to have you with us.
We might just take you up on that offer.
Klasky will nudge Class. It's like, of course you love that idea.
I think we should.
But no, going with the caravan would be much enjoyable. As much as I love my lovely brothers, it can get a bit boring. Plus, we're more protected in a group rather than just ourselves.
Such is my thinking. In addition to your valuable services as protection, there are not many people in these lands who've encountered Githyanki or dragons. So the next time it's time to go somewhere and tell stories, well, the stories you have to tell might bring in a few coins if you're willing to tell them.
Of course.
Does Arab have anything to say about this situation?
Not really.
Okay. All right. So, in your essentially last day at the monastery, at least for now, is there anything in particular any of you want to do?
Is there like an apothecary or something?
Yes.
I think eventually Notlatch would wander into there at least. And sort of poke around inside to maybe kind of talk shop with the guy. Try and like steer the conversation towards like making poisons like he knows.
Okay. So this setup is very different from anything you would have seen in the swamp. Goblins are perfectly capable of extracting poison from plants, but they wouldn't have lab equipment with precise measurements and things like that. You know, with beakers and measuring tools and all. And this place is full of stuff like that. And the apothecary is happy to talk shop with you. He's more knowledgeable about healing than he is about poisoning, but he does give you some insight on how applying medicine in the wrong dosages or at the wrong time can be as or more effective than the poisons you know.
Really? I never thought of it that
He says, "Well, I'm told that we have the absence of the Githyanki. We have you to thank for that. So, I suppose a parting gift would be in order." And he pulls out a small book. The title on the book, it's written in Common, which I'm guessing Notlatch isn't a big reader, but I believe your character can read Common.
way.
And the title of the book is Blood for Poison, Poison for Blood. And basically, what it is a manual of how different chemicals can be used for poisonous or medicinal purposes, depending on the situation.
Oh.
And you're not sure, but you get the impression that if you're able to master the contents of this book, you could turn a healing potion into some kind of toxin.
Oh, that is. His eyes light up as soon as he sees this one. And gets a little bit giddy, and then stumbles over his words a lot, even more than usual, trying to thank him.
He smiles at you and says, "Well, you're most welcome. The text honestly isn't much use to me in my line of work, but I'm sure you'll find," he pauses, "something to do with it. I was going to say something good, but you'll find something to do with it." Is
He
anyone
gives
else? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
just like that like excited kid nod where like the whole body shakes up and down as he like starts bouncing out the door.
Nice. Is anyone else going to be doing anything while you're here?
Aaron is going to try and get some details on the schism between the two Gith species.
All right. So you're actually able to find a Gitzerai who was pretty happy to tell you the story over a cup of tea. Basically, when the Gith escaped their slavery, they started conquering and enslaving other people. So the Gitzerai broke away. The Gitzerai were content to just enjoy their freedom. And the purpose of this monastery is that it was meant to be someplace far away from their conflict with the Githyanki. He is, although that conflict has mostly simmered down, he also tells you he's not as knowledgeable, but what he understands is that the War for the Skies is there's been another split within the Githyanki themselves, where one faction is following the Prince of the Last Queen, and the other faction is following a Lich Queen who has ruled them for a long time. So basically, the Gitzerai schism is the result of one civil war among the Gith, and the War for the Skies is a different civil war among Githyanki specifically.
Had first Civil War, yes, but what about second Civil War?
Exactly. Is there any other information you want to try to get from him about this, or is that general bit of information enough?
The other that Arav would just be asking is, how did they manage to get dragons? Like, how did that happen?
Well, you are somewhat familiar with having a god's personal attention, from what I can tell. They managed to do that, but in a good way. Their queen made some kind of arrangement with the god of dragons for them to have dragons at their disposal.
See.
As he's saying this, he's going to kind of squint and look at you, and he's going to say, "There is something else about you, something of the draconic, is there not?"
Well, when after the free dragon ride, the dragon like kind of breathed fire, but it didn't burn. At me specifically. So that was a thing that happened.
Well, good luck with whatever that was. I just don't have anything useful to say. All right. So the evening passes peacefully, and in the morning, the Verdan are all set and ready to go. The Verdan also don't have dark vision, so they are very eager to leave as soon as it gets light. And you are ready to set back out in a world that, for you, keeps getting bigger, more magical, and scarier. And the next time we adventure in that world, you all will be level 3. But that's where we're going to leave it for tonight.
Level 3. Level 3.
Nice.
Is
Final word?
Hmm?
Oh, I thought Claus was gonna say something.
I was just happy about subclasses we're gonna get.
Oh.
Yes, I'm finally a draconic monk.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode as much as we did, and you can find our previous episodes on our YouTube channel in the link tree that's buried somewhere in this description on Twitch. So have a wonderful weekend. We'll catch you all on the next episode next week. Bye.
Bye.